Evening everybody, just waiting for start time of 7:30, but I see a few views here already, so if anybody wants to just type a message, it could be a load of nonsense, but just so I can actually make sure I'm receiving the chat will be really useful. So I'll save about 10 minutes, but I thought I'd just pop on, and if anybody wants to have a talk about anything from last time, please do. So I don't know what it's like over where you are, but at the moment it's absolutely pouring down outside. I can just hear it. So wife will be extremely happy because he's been praying for rain for a garden because it's absolutely bone dry. So she's be really happy tonight. No, I don't mind it when it comes at evening time or during the night because it don't spoil dealing, but it's nice to have a bit of sun at the moment to keep everybody cheerful. So tonight, hopefully, as well, excuse me, we'll have better sound. I've changed my microphone over to another one tonight, so it should be more constant than it was last time. Also, did put cameras on tonight as well, so that might be slightly better as well for you. So right, that's good to know, Richard, that everything's okay now, that end. See, when I'm down at the club, I can just look up and say, "Can everybody hear me?" And people say yes or no, we can't hear you. Speak a bit louder. But when you're doing it through this way, it relies totally on chat. So I'm just going to refresh my screen up here as well. I've got a screen up here, so I can actually just see what the chat is as well. So it says me looking, because I've got, as you may see coming through, I've got a tablet in front of me, so when I'm turning I can see questions come in, but my computer is over to me right. So at the moment we've got Richard Kinlands, Ian Temple and Keith. So and I'm actually got a viewing figure of 8, so there's, see, the other thing as well, the few of you what do chat, I know you're there. If nobody chats, that's not visible to me in that respect. All I can look is the viewing figures, what's coming up in front of me, to roughly know how many's there. Chat is one of them on YouTube. You've got to have a channel or sign into a channel to be able to comment. So if you just view it from the link, you don't always have automatically rights to comment. So that's one thing you've just got to look out for with YouTube. I know why. It's just down to YouTube and security really, that they want to know if there's any adverse comments, who's made them. So apparently on a Zoom meeting the other night, they'd not made it secure, but I always make mine secure. It's invited guests only. They'd not make it secure, then somebody else joined in and made 1 or 2 comments what wasn't quite welcome. So That's the problem with modern technology, is people trying to join in. So, but any questions from last time? Again, I'll ask this again at 7:30 when everybody arrives. But if anybody's got any comments so far, please just put them up and then I'll try to answer them. And like I always say, you can ask anything, because everybody, I know it's always same at clubs. You say to people, any comments, please make them, ask any questions, but I know myself, you don't like putting your hand up and saying, can I ask this question? Because you think it's going to be a daft question, and it's not. Everybody else wanted to ask it as well. So I've got Jonathan here as well, and Christine. I mentioned last time, but still not easy to hear. Right, if anybody else is having problem hearing, I know Steve Fernley's just come in as well. There can be two settings. One is actually on the YouTube itself. There's a speaker icon and a slider on that. The second part is actually on your laptop, tablet, PC, or whatever device you are using. So there's actually two settings, so you've just got to make sure both of them have got their volume up. I'm looking at my audio going out from here, and it's at the correct level. If I bring my microphone slightly higher, that will just increase it, but also you may hear me when I breathe in and out. So just let me know, somebody, how it's sounding now. I've just moved it slightly closer, but I don't want to sound like a heavy breather at the same time. So yeah, I'm just saying, about 5 minutes to go, or just less, about 4 minutes, then we can make a start. You should be able to maybe see on your screens how many people are joined in, but at the moment there's around 13. Right, thank you. Right, Jonathan puts that much better, so right, we're on right tracks here. So yeah, I just changed my microphone over, but the other one was faded in. The other part is, anybody who knows anything about microphones will know before even saying this, they are slightly peculiar, these microphones. They're noise cancelling. They pick up your voice but not the surrounding noise. So when I switch my lathe on, I tend to then think, oh, my lathe's noisy, I'll speak a bit louder, and then the microphone just thinks I'm shouting down it, so it still transmits at a very high level. And then I switch my lathe off and think, oh, that's quiet, I don't need to shout as much now. But with these microphones, trying to talk at the same level all the time, no matter whether the lathe's on or off. And we all know what it's like, going to a noisy environment, you always speak louder. But as with these microphones, just remembering not to speak at that even level. I'm not sure how many we're expecting tonight, but we've got 16 up so far. So I think last time was about 18, so I mean, and I know a couple maybe came in late, but again, it's a couple of minutes to go before we start. So tonight we're going to make a trinket box, show you the way that I turn it. Again, just because I turn it this way, don't mean to say that everybody has to do. Well, there's so many different ways to turn a box, how to fit the lid, but it's just the way I tend to do them. It means the grain's always running in the same direction. So, and also it's good practice for doing jam chucks. Unless you're lucky enough to have lots of different chucks, and then if you've got different chucks or different sized jaws, you can get round one or two problems by using smaller jaws. But jam chucks are something I used to use quite a lot of at the beginning when I first started in the 80s, turning full time. But before then, when I was at school, I used to do wood turning in my 20s, and that was a lot of times then using jam chucks rather than proper chucks. So just coming up to past, so wait while past, it's fair to everybody. So again, I've got Keith here as well now, so it's popped up to 19, so I'd say we're about there. So looks like we're almost ready to kick off. It is just coming up to past. I'll look at my computer because that's got a thing on it. Even though I've got my tablet, I can actually see the time better on there. So, trinket box. I've just got a piece of sycamore. Still got it rough at the moment, but stock's running low. I mean, I've just been getting emails off Snaton, so they apparently are opening up again, but they prefer you to go in one by one, and also a face covering as well, which sounding from the statement tonight from the government is going to be quite common. So we've got Malcolm in as well now, so I think we virtually are ready. So this piece is 3x3. It's 5 inches long, but again, that is just as a guideline. One thing with a trinket box, as most of you will have made something like this anyway, is remembering the amount of waste you've got. So you may think, oh yes, I want one 3.5 inches or quite 4 inches, and you find out you can lose up to potentially an inch. So again, I'll just go to my overhead camera and mark it up this way. Again, what I'm seeing when I start the pencil line, it'll be 20 seconds before I get it back on my other camera to see what's being transmitted or what's in the view that you're seeing. So I just use my finger against the side of a block, put it down a bit, then you can see, and then I'll say that it's the centre there. The other end's got wax on because this end, what's got wax on, can go into a chuck, which is waste wood. So there's no need to cut an amount off to get rid of the wax when it's going to be waste wood anyway. So again, I'm just using a bradawl now to scribe a line, seeing my pencil to go well on wax. So again, we've got the centre just there. So again, I can just put a little brad point in there, and same again there. I mean, I'm using a stem centre tonight along with my revolving centre. So like I say, the wax end I'm going to put in a chuck eventually. Which way round do you want to be to start with? Doesn't really matter when we're doing it between centres. The only thing is you've got more space at the tailstock end to use your parting tool. So I tend to put my spriggets at the tailstock end. So, but then we'll discuss which way to mount it, because we do a bit of moving around. So again, just tightening this up. So again, just got a short tool rest on, so we'll take it down in a couple of sections. Again, always make sure tonight just wearing safety glasses so it doesn't interfere with the speech. So we'll do that way. As you know, you've heard me say many times before, in my workshop I use a respirator over time, but tonight I'll just be wearing my safety glasses. Just go stick my air filter on low just to take up the dust out of the workshop as I'm turning. So basically, to start off with, a spindle gouge. Now I've been sent the new record tools which are coming out. Snaters have just put it on their website. So I'm not tied to record at all. So sometimes I do things like I've sent Lee's out and say, what do you think about them? But they don't pay me any other way, and Lee's will be going back. They've listened to advice from people and they've made this bottom part slightly thicker so it fits your hand better for me. So I'm going to use them tonight. You can see what they're like. Ask any questions and I'll tell you. I'll tell you the good points and I'll tell you the bad points. One thing is they're coming in 2 sets. I know I said last time I was like a salesman here, but if anybody's needing tools, they're doing a spindle set and a bow turning set. Now in their wisdom they decided to do a spindle roughing gouge, a spindle gouge and a parting tool in the spindle set. The bow set has a bow gouge, a round nose scraper and another parting tool. So if you buy the 2 sets separately, which they're aimed at beginners, so beginner may buy a spindle set or bow set. If you buy both sets you end up with 2 parting tools. Yes, one admittedly is a larger one, but you still end up with 2. Reason they've not put a screw in because they've thought beginners would not want to use them. We all have his opinion on that. I know what my opinion is. So I think a screw will be missed, but they are doing a separate one later. So let's start this. So again, we're on 1800, which is fine for this. So everything's locked down. So here we go. So again, just bringing the handle up, just going across there. So again, I've got maybe a good quarter inch to half an inch now appearing between the piece of sycamore and the tool rest. So again, I just want to get this other end down. Again, that's why you always check it first. So again, just getting that down, and I can just take another cut there. Just be careful when you go off the edge. I know there's quite a lot of you are experienced turners, but anybody who's learning, always turn the lathe off. It's a lot safer because if this tool should suddenly jump forward when you're moving it with the lathe running, it can catch the piece of wood and something's got to give. Now also I can hear there it's gone very, very quiet, which is a good indication that we round or almost round, and we are totally round there. So again, just doing that last part there, and then we can start making some, or making a spigot. Again, I can just turn it round that way, go. Now that's quiet. Here I can just feel a bit of rubbing, just shuddering a bit there, so that could indicate that there was a slight flat on, but nothing to worry about. So now we can put on a spigot. Some of you will already have seen this. It's just a template, the inner part is 52mm, which is what I need to put a spriget on. And this part here is 58mm for a recess. So again, with this, I've no measurements in that respect. I can just use this. I mean, I can just put that on there and gauge how much roughly I need to take off. So again, just party tool. Again, taking about half a cut width for the tool. Because then if I go too narrow, I've only wasted that bit. So that's giving me an idea now again of how much I can take off. Once I've got this initial diameter, which that just fits on nicely, if I go to my side camera, you'll see that that just about slips on. So I've only taken about 1/8 of an inch off. I want it longer, so go down. So I'll leave it on side camera so you can see it going down. Right, I'm just going to bring my other camera up because I know it's just blocking it out slightly. The camera's at the back at the moment because we'll need it at the back when I start hollowing. So again, just got to go in against with my tool handle slightly to my right, so it just slightly undercuts that. So that can go into my chuck now. In fact, let's make one at this end. You won't see it, but it's going to make life easier, and you'll see why. So again, I can just use now, let me go on my top view. I can use my jaws as a very good guide. Just get rid of that. So again, if I'm in any doubt, I can just use that gauge and it just slips over. That's a bit tight, but again, I can force it over. We're talking about 1mm difference here. So now I can take the stem center out. Again, what depth for spriget? The maximum, there's two figures here. I'm going to go on my side one. Right, I just need to move that down a bit and across. Right, the depth on the front face here to the very bottom is, in modern day money, 12mm. We never want to go 12mm. The maximum length of spriget I want to go depth wise is 10mm, because there's a radius right in the bottom of these jaws, and that will not let it sit flush. That will cause it to wobble a bit. So that's why so I'm just laughing. Gordon just put, sorry, Malcolm has just put one up about what he thinks about the skew chisel. Yes, but to go back to the other, tonight we've gone about 1/4 inch, 6mm, because that's all that's going to be required. Like I say, we've got one on the wax end, but I am putting the unwaxed one in first to my chuck. Why? Because we're going to be doing the lid first. Well, the top of the lid is always going to be visible because I'm not going to be cutting any waste off that. The bottom part here is going to be where the base is, and that will have that waste cut away. So again, that will be, if there's any cracks in this end here in the wax part, it won't really matter because they're going to be taken out. Now I've only just slightly put it in. I'm not going to start the lathe, but I just want to bring the centre up. Just go on to my top camera again. to centre it, then I tighten it then fully. I tend to use both segments. Right, so that's got between centres. This is going to be the lid end. So I'm going to be undercutting the lid, so that's why I want my lid part in first and not the base. Rule of thumb, basically, and this is very basically, is 2/3 and 1/3. So that's going to be in the chucking waste. We want some waste up against the jaws. I don't want to be parting right next to the jaws. There's my parting tool width as well. So technically we're looking at about 100 millimeters. So if we go thirds, 33, I know it's 99. I do apologise, Steve, because I know that you'll be saying, joking aside, I know Steve taught me stepdaughter at school, Steve Fernley, so I know maths will be pretty good from, so yes, basically it will move slightly one way or the other. It's if you do get down to very minute things where it's going in a competition. That is a basic one, is competitions where you have to get very accurately because people do check it very carefully. So again, I'm just picking up my parting tool. So again, just make sure that that's locked down. I always give it a spin, even though it's round. It shouldn't catch me too west, but I always do. It's just habit, which is not a bad habit. I'm going to go on the pencil line because I'm going to make roughly 3 rips here of parting tool. So that's the reason I'm going on the centre one. For depth, I've got to think of what shape of a lid I'm going. So again, I'm just going in and just wriggling it slightly just to give me a bit of clearance. Slide it back out on the tool rest. Now I'm going to make another maybe 3/4 of a cut width-wise. And same again there. Now I want this bottom part here to be as parallel as possible because it helps when we start fitting the lid. I'm just going to move that camera slightly over so you can actually see better. So we've got 3 parting widths. Now this is the lid. Now I tend to have a recess in the lid and the spigot on the base part. I think they just look nice that way around myself, but everybody has their own opinion. Doesn't matter. It's just deciding at the beginning which way around you want it. Now, if you've one size parting tool, the key thing is only going about half the bevel length or the most of the parting tool before you withdraw it out on the tool rest and just move it over a fraction and make another slight cut so you've got a relief cut so it never jams. Okay, if you just go with a single cut, it can bind and grab. If you've got a narrow parting tool like I have here, it means you don't need such a wide cut, but I can't presume that everybody will have a wide narrow parting tool. So again, I never go flush to a lid. I come about in modern day money about 1 millimeter away because that leaves me a witness mark of what the diameter of the spigot is, what's going to be going inside it. So it just makes it easier. So again, just leaving that. So again, same principle. Going so far, pull out, just move over. So I've got that relief cut, so I'm going down in stages. Now I'm just looking in and gauging how much I've got left because you never ever want to go right into the centre with the tailstock here, because it will just jam your parting tool. So again, we can take that away. 2 ways, 3 ways even. 1 is part off. 2nd, get a saw and saw it off. 3rd way, part down a bit more and twist it off. But you've got to make sure you are going to be recessing the lid, because if you just go to keep that flat, I know we want on this design, it will pull the fibres out, so you've never actually twist it off completely, because it does a lot of damage to the fibres. Again, I'm going to be parting off. Again, always left-handed. Because anybody who knows me, I always part off left-handed, because if I did it right-handed, I'd be bringing my left hand over top of a chuck, which has got arpeggios on. I could catch my sleeve, so I always part off left-handed. If I go to the side camera now, you will see, I'll bring it in a bit closer. So when that camera comes in, you will see actually the witness mark there, and that just that ring, that outer surface. So this is going to be hollowed. Now I just want to stop shy of that witness mark there, so I know where I am. Hollowing tool tonight is what comes in the toolkit. Is my spindle gouge. Can use my spindle gouge or my round nose scraper. Either of them is acceptable. So again, I just want my tip of my tool on centre height. So again, I've got the flutes facing me about 10 o'clock, and then I'm going to be using a pulling action and levering round. But just being mindful of that line there. So again, just going in on centre, just pulling out, just go stop just shy of that line. Again, I've got to also think how deep. I know the part what's in the chuck is slightly damaged because it's had the prongs from the drive centre into it, so I won't be able to use the full length. I'll lose a slight amount. So you can see that's a really effective hollowing tool. But just always remember to have your flutes on the side. I've just gone to the top camera now, so the road over, they're facing the direction I'm coming. So that's the way I have always hollowed. Most of my colleagues hollow that way. We always come from the centre outwards because it's working with a grade and it leaves a fairly good surface. I've seen some people what push inwards. Now, I was watching somebody the other night and it kept flicking backwards because you've no bevel support when you go in there. And that is never a problem coming that way. So again, we can use a scraper just to modify. So again, I'll just go on to the side one. Just go bring this up slightly, my tool rest, because I'm on that negative angle. So I just need it slightly higher, so I'm cutting down onto it properly. So that you could take it all out this way with a scraper. I always have a side grind on mine. I just want to be taking out that small amount. If I was going to take it out, I could take it out heavier, But when I refine it, I take out the smallest amount possible, purely so it gives the best finish. Now, again, you're going to have to take my word here, but that's smooth, just a little pip right in the centre. But apart from that, that's nice and smooth. I've not cut the recess yet. I've still got this witness mark here, so both of them need to disappear, or the witness mark first. So I can again just use a scraper just to come out slightly. Yes, it's about, in modern day money, about 3mm shy the diameter of that witness mark. Well, some of my chucks, I'm pretty lucky that they run accurately. Not all chucks do. I'm sure some of you will have experienced that. If I make that very accurate, when I put this in, if my chuck wasn't running very accurate, then it would be running out, and I'd my top running out as well. Or I'd turn this down until it was running true, and then it would be too small for the lid. So that's why I do it that way around. Next thing, I sand. And why do I sand now and not cut the recess? Because if I cut the recess first, I will round it over this edge, and that will damage the recess, which means I won't have a very good one. So I always sand up to 320, and then once I've done 320, I will then cut my recess and just use 400 just to finish off. So we'll just stick the extractor on for this part just to get rid of some of the dust. So again, just sand that. Just go bring my extractor up a bit closer. Again, some of you will recognise this particular type of lathe. It's one of the old Novas. Now, it's not variable speed, so I'm still sanding at the same speed. But if I'm quick and don't hold it on too much, it won't generate heat. I'll just get the dust off that as it slows down. That is only just aired as well. You never want it where it's warm because it can crack. Now, two tools to cut the recess. One is a parting tool and going straight in. The other one is a favourite for some of you, I know. Screw chisel. Both are good. The only thing with screw chisel, as you may guess, that when you go in with a screw chisel, it's going to be angled, the bottom of that recess. So you can go in with a parting tool. What speed I'm working at? I'm working at 1800 because the next one down on this lathe is 1200. So that can be a bit slow at times. So that's why I'm working at 1800. I would work at 1800 on any lathe for this size item. I would tend, because the one at work, what I use at my work, is variable speed. Would I turn it down to about 800 to sand with? Yes. I won't normally sand at 1800. For modern days abrasives will actually take the speed, but at the same time, it can also, say, damage the wood. Some of you will have heard of this, heat check. Heat check, the first part is self-explanatory. It's heat, what you've introduced with sanding. The checking part is minute cracks, and you can sometimes hear it pinning. And when you stop, you can see minute cracks all in there, on any end grain, not a side grain, on end grain, and that is just purely down to the heat what's being generated. So that's why it's better to sand at a lower speed. unless you're very quick, but if you hold it on for any length of time, it will cause problems. So again, I'm using my parting tool. Now one thing, keep it parallel with the lathe bed, so that will make sure that you're going in straight, because if you go out to taper, then I tend to taper my lids, then that will mean I've got two tapers, and fitting a lid with two tapers can be quite difficult. So again, because I went in nice and slow, you've got a decent finish on that. So again, we went up to 320 last time, so we only need to do 400 this time. I'll put it that way around. So again, just put the extractor on. So 400, so that's not good to make any changes to the diameter or the shape of that recess. That's why I use all in that last grade. So we've got a nice clean cut recess there. But imagine if I started sanding that now and started it with 120. Now again, just going to use some cellulose sanding sealant to seal this, because this is the last time that I will be able to mechanically do anything on the inside. Yes, I could do anything I wanted. We sand it, we polish it off the lathe, but on the lathe, this is the last chance. So again, this sanding sealant is as it's come out of a tin. I never thin it when it's straight out of a tin. I do thin it if, like we've been experiencing these hot days, really hot days, and I've been using it a lot because the solvent evaporates and then it gets a bit thick and it doesn't soak in properly. So yes, I do thin it down lead with some cellulose thinners. So again, just holding my cloth on just to smooth that sanding sealant out, and also applying some heat. Lead will cause it to dry. That's the lid done so far. Now yes, we've still got the top to do, but that will be done when we're holding the base. So again, sometimes if you've a box where it's very close diameters on both, just make sure you know which is which end. I mean, on this one it's easy. It's very easy for us, what's been turning a long time, to know these little things, but anybody who's new to turning, it can be beneficial to know things like this. Why? Because if you should put it the wrong way around, the grain will not match. It'll be like back to front. When you do it this way, in theory, the grain should match all the way around pretty much. Now it won't match 100% because we've taken a parting tool width out. That's going to fit on there, so we've lost potentially 3/8 of an inch. So that means the grain will never match. The straighter the grain, yes it will, but if it's got a lot of patterning, no it won't. It will be slightly mismatched. Now again, I know the lid is going to be about maybe 3 or 4 millimeters at least in modern day money, or 1/8 of an inch out. That's the diameter in the lid. On there you can see that's a good 1/8 of an inch difference. So roughly 1/8 of an inch to take off. Am I going to do a full width down? No, because if I make a mistake, I've got problems. I'm just going to zoom in a bit there so you can see, and just move it a bit that way again. So I'm only going to go, remember, I'm only going to take half a width because I'm taking it off the diameter.
and it may not be visible on camera, it's visible to me. That original cut there is running out slightly, so that's why I always leave a bit of spare. That's almost. So just slightly more, because that is a guideline. The other thing what can stop the lid fitting properly is the depth of that recess. If that depth of recess is less than the width of that, it will never fit on properly. Now that is just a bit too much. I'm not worried because that's why I've got that length. But I know now when I part down again, only a small amount to stop short. Now if I did on that full width at one go, you see now that's holding on. So that is my diameter I need to go down to. So yes, if I'd done all the full length at once, I'd have problems. Right, I'm just going to take some off that front edge. The rest of it will come off. I'm just going to other camera. That will come off later. And again, I've got the recess in the lid, so that's not good to stop the lid from fitting on. So then I can just line it up as much as I can with the grain, and then just move it to rest. Now that is tight. Now I could force it on, so I'm just, but I don't want to. I've got to get it off afterwards so all are out. So I'm just going to take. Now again, very easy to think, oh, that wasn't worth it, but it's very easy as well to take too much off. That's still a bit too tight. I want it tight because I'm going to be holding the top on here to turn it. Now if it's too slack, the top's going to come flying off. So again, you've just got to make sure you don't get too slack. So that's pushing on nicely now. Go to my top camera, you can see. So that's on tight. Not bothered if it doesn't match up 100% because it's going to come off, but that is tight. Anybody who's new to turning, put your tailstock up, give it support, which we can while we do the initial roughing of the top. Then we can take the top away to clean it off properly. Now what happens if you cut it too thin, too small? Several choices. One, cut it further back with spigot so you lose wood, but the first line of attack for me would be on the spigot part, because don't forget we've sealed the recess. Just put some water on and then put the lid on straight away. If it's only minor difference, the fibres will swell and hold that lid on. If that doesn't work, sanding sealant. Sanding sealant will act as a temporary glue, so that will hold it on. Failing that, paper. Just use that to jam it on. If that fails, sorry, recut with spigot. It's gone too far. So the other way is to hold it on permanently with the tailstock and then drill a slight larger hole in the centre where the roving centre is, and then put a finial in the end. So that is the other way to do it either. So there's a few ways to get around it, so tonight is about, yes, anybody who's new, because again, what I normally do at clubs, as you know from when I come down to yours, is say any new turners here tonight, and they put their hands up, so I know that I've got some U-turners. I need to explain everything. When you're doing it in this way, it's not as easy. People can put their hands up at home, but I can't see down this telephone line to see you putting your hands up. So let's get some basic shape in here. My forward centre is just actually just touching, just about spinning. So again, I can just do some basic shape. Now I've got to remember, you can measure it to know how much you've taken out of a lid. I'm just going to smooth that off, because if I cut in there too much, what's going to happen? I'm going to go through the top. So you've always just got to remember. Now again, when I'm turning the beard, just roll it over, then I'm just going to push the tool handle away from me. Now I want to just leave a little piece on the top here, just like a little small knob part. So again, just rolling that in. Just want to get this outer part completed first. Now at this point I can take away the tailstock. I'm saying that is perfectly safe. It's not going to come off, so there's no problem about that coming off. It's quite firm. Now if I go on to my end camera, you will see we've still got that hole there. Now we need to get rid of that. I say unless we've gone too thin here on the springit and the lid was loose, so we keep the tailstock up there. And then once we'd finished this off completely and sanded it with the tailstock still here, when we took this off, we'd put a small drill in there to drill it out a bit and then turn a finial to fit in the top. But that's not necessary. So again, I'm using a skew to just part down there, to clean that up and get rid of that damaged part in the centre, because don't forget the revolving centre will have compressor fibres as well right in that centre. So again, that's nice and clean. That's the beauty of a skew. Can it be done with a spindle gouge? You know what the answer is going to be. Yes, it can be. But one thing is, like I said last time, just don't be too frightened of it. Just use it. I know once you've had a dig in, you'll think it's the worst tool that's ever been invented. So I'm just cutting basically a V. So I'll go on to the top one, and then you should see from the top. So you've got to be very careful. Not that it will catch, but it can be that there can be a colour difference switching from one tool to another, because one tool, don't think it will show up on this one, that's not doing so far, you can end up burnishing one part slightly more than the other. If I just feel that, it feels more burnished on the inside. So that can affect the, when you finish it off, it can affect how it looks. So I'll just go to my side view. I don't know why that camera's gone dark. So yep, it's that camera on my side one is just frozen. So if you just give me a second, I will try and sort that out because we're going to need that later. If not, it doesn't matter because I will actually learn to switch my cameras round. Right, no, it's looks like it's completely frozen, that one. So I'll just bring my top camera round and down. So I'll just bring that in there, just position it that way, which can be just when you're working backwards way around. It's always funny on these lathes, on these cameras, shall I say. So again, I'm just going to go down there, just to clean that off. So again, just going in lightly there. Just get right in there. Don't want to go too thin because then there's a chance of that snapping off. So you've just got to remember not to go too thin. I'm just going to reduce that diameter as well because it's just a bit too large. Looks out of proportion now. So just go to make it small and just round it over slightly. So see, can be done with a spindle gouge, no problem at all. So the next thing to do is, there's a slight gap there, which there's normally always a gap between the two pieces, is we can make it into a feature. Also, we've got to think, how do we get the lid off? I use a lid removal tool. My lid removal tool is a skew chisel, which with a lathe stay straight, I just put it in there and I can just prise it off, but it damages that line there. So if you put a V cut in, now again, if the lid was slightly loose, be very careful because when you're doing this cut, it can cause it to pop the lid off. So it can be left like that, or it can be just slightly rolled over. Now the other thing I'm going to do, because I know this is running slightly out, is take a clean cut over the top first. It's running out, not too much, but it's just enough to cause, so I want to just bring that down there. Again, just pick it up on that bevel. Just clean up that part. Don't want to do too much downward side because we're going to be reshaping it. But I'll just cut down there anyway, because if we were to keep it square, which this would be fine as a parallel cylinder, so that's not a problem. That could be the turning on the outside completed. So let's now sand this end. Just put it down and then you can see. Angle's going to be a bit weird on this one. I'll just put it round and up. That's it. That's it. It's upside down. I do apologise at that, but we'll get that other camera sorted out. Right, backwards. You can just see a slight line there, so that will sand out. Once we've got that part sorted, then it's finishing this part and then we'll hollow out, and then I'll get the camera moved completely. So we'll just give that lid. So again, just using 320. The other thing we're running at a high speed, besides the heat, what can be generated, is the extractor doesn't pick up all the dust as easily. So that's why a variable speed lathe can have its advantages. So just that's 180. We did 120. Now 240. Again, it's just a matter of getting right into that recess. And then finally 400. And again 400 just in that little cup there. Switch lathe off before you do anything else, before you bend down and pick it up. I'll just bring that camera back up. You can see from a normal angle. Yeah, that's back on. But yeah, just watch when you're doing that, it don't pop off. So yeah, has it damaged it? No, I've got a wood floor. Also, up at my workshop, I've got rubber matting down, which is always good for one, anti-slip, and two, it's really good that if you do drop something, it bounces, because underneath that rubber floor is a concrete floor. So fits of lid, you want a decent fit to turn this part, as you can see, but also there's two types of fit. So I've got sanding sealer, I'm just going to burnish it off now. There's a wood turners fit for like club competitions, so you want that nice popping sound when you take the lid off. There's the other one where when I sell them, I like them to come off nice and easy. I don't like them being really hard to take off, because what happens if they're hard to take off is when people struggles, and when people buy it, they just want to get hold of it and just pull it off nice and gently. They don't want to have to use two hands. So for me, the fit of a lid needs to be not slack where it just falls off, but a just nice fit. I did it especially for you, Malcolm, pushing that lid off like that. Me and Malcolm Dyson, which most of you know from club, we have a really good banter with one another. Anybody who doesn't know us think we're having a go on them, but we always have this banter together. So yeah, I'll say I'll just pop that lid off for Malcolm. So right, back to being serious now. I just use wood wax 22. So that's as good as any. People may ask as well about Yorkshire grit. Yes, that works as well, but I always still go down to 400. Yorkshire grit, apparently you can just go down to 320 or even 240. I still prefer to go all the way and get a nice smooth finish. It's just my way. I've tried it, it works. The other thing I have problems with sometimes when I've used that, I've also used the Rockaway one as well, the chestnut, is on the round part here, no problem at all. Anything where there's fine details, I find if you're not very careful and removing every single trace, you end up with white lines showing up later. So it just dries white. So you've got to be really meticulous at getting every bit of it off. So now we've just left that on a minute or two just to, and then just buff. Again, I'm applying pressure from the tailstock end to the top. Because if I apply it the other way, we're going to be seeing who's the best catcher again. So that's that part done. Again, you can see it's quite stiff. If I can just get my nail behind it, yep, that pops off. So that's okay for what we've done, but it needs to just be eased off a fraction. I prefer to use a tool to ease it off, because I know I'm taking it off all the way around rather than if sanding. If one part is harder than the other, you'll end up lead with slight overness, or when the soft part comes right, it'll take more off. What's equivalent to, would you say, to Yorkshire grit is chestnut, and we've got it, chestnut, and it's, I think it's wax, polish and wax or something like that. So it's a good product. It's same as I've used burnishing cream, which you can get, which is a liquid version, which that's always been on the market. But the wax one is just basically in a wax rather than a liquid suspension. I think Yorkshire grit has this pumice stone, what's in it. The only other thing is, you've got to always remember, you can only use a wax finish on after you use Yorkshire grit or cut and polish. You can't use oil, because it won't absorb it with putting oil on, with putting the wax on. So yep, cut and polish. Thank you, Marty. So again, I'm just going to take a really light cut. That's all, until I try the lid. That's still a bit tight, so just a fraction more. The other thing you've got to remember, we'll be putting some sanding sealant on this. So that can swell it as well. That's better. That's a better fit. Now, talking about Yorkshire grit and that, a really good one the other day, and I must admit I've never thought about it. Lids, what's a bit tight? Put some of that on and just turn it by hand, and that will actually abrade the joint and make it easier to fit. So so that is another one. Right, so I presume you're meaning, this is Jeffrey, what grit equivalent to 600? If you're meaning cut and polish or Yorkshire grit, it could be equivalent to maybe 600, but I am not sure what it's going to be equivalent to. Now I'm just going to move my camera down here. I need to move it the other way around, because otherwise we're going to be working in Australia mode. Just go and move that over and just slot it in my other clamp. I've got two clamps here, so I can just switch my clamps over and switch this way. Most of it now, get rid of my hand, is going to be done from the end. I'll just put that there. That might drop it down slightly. Now you can see more what I'm seeing. So let me just get rid of that other camera, what's just blocking that view. Right, that'll open that view up better. So you can see where we parted down there. That's quite rough. So again, the only way we know this is not being used, but if it was, use your parting tool really slowly. Let me just go down there, because this is something you've got to think about when we part off. So if I go down there fairly quickly, I don't need to look myself. You can see it's pulled the fibres out badly. Same tool, but go down slowly. I'm not going to go all the way to the centre, but you can see the contrast there is that is smooth. So if you're parting off, when we part off at the end, nice and slowly, because then that will give a nice clean finish. Go down quickly and it will tear the grade. But in this we'll go to hollow out now. One thing which can be done two ways. There's, I could say, the easy way of using a drill bit to remove a core out, which makes it easier, but I'll show you how to use, again, a spindle gouge to take it out, and then a scraper. What's the advantage of using a drill? You get rid of that slow moving centre, but otherwise I don't worry. I'm just going to put some tape on my tool there to act as a depth stop, so that tells me how deep I need to go. I've got to think, which you'll see when we go back to the overhead when I part off. I want some material next to my jaws. I've got 1.5 whips, say, of a parting tool, so that's almost 1/2 inch. I've then got to think I want some material in the base of a bowl or a box, otherwise I'm going to go through a base again. So again, calculate first, because it can save you a lot of problems. But say one of the best tips is putting some insulating masking tape on your tool when you're hollowing, or the drill bit, so you know how deep to go. So again, just follow that. Now don't come all the way, because that's your lid, what holds your lid on. I know I'm stating the obvious, but it can be quite easy now. One thing as well, I'm just going to get another tool out and show you something. I can just feel that slightly catching a bit. Why? I'm just going to get the dirt off the end. That is a more squarer profile. That is a fingernail. Now with the squarer profiles, the rings can catch slightly. With a fingernail profile, it tends to grab less. So when you're hollowing, tend to use a tool what has got more of a fingernail grind on. Will the other one get a fingernail grind on? Yes, eventually. At the moment I've not got round, just used it as it is, because I want to test them, then I can be totally honest with people about what I think about them. Just because they've sent them and want me to test them, I'll be totally honest. If I think they're a load of rubbish, I will tell you. If I think they're good, I will also tell you. Only downside I think with at the moment, technically, is missing the spindle gouge. Sorry, skew chisel. But otherwise, they're not holding up too bad. Again, I know I'm going slightly off subject here. but the handles. Bring that one up. That fits my hand all the way up. That one is a bit narrow there. I don't like holding it there, it feels, so I tend to hold it high up, where in this one I can hold it anywhere. So but that will not stop me from buying a different maker tools, because I'll just put another handle on. So again, we're just going to be going in the same way as we were before, but when it's being fingernail profile, doesn't grab. Also, I can take a larger cut because I'm using the side of the ring as well. Now, I'm not bothered about finish. The finish on this is going to be pretty rough. All I wanted to do is get the centre out. Now, and that resonance you can hear there is purely the tool vibrating. How do I counteract it? Two ways. Switch to a larger diameter rather than a 3/8, switch to a 1/2 inch gouge, or take lighter cuts. I'm just going to get down to my depth. So it must see at the moment, but I'm just getting this out as quickly as I can. So you can see the interesting bits. That there is about to depth. It's going to be maybe 1/2 inch short, so we'll just move the base up 1/2 inch. So that's got it roughed out, and I mean roughed out. When you're learning, you could take lots of nice delicate cuts to get used to how it feels, how it works. But when I'm doing it for myself or for demonstrations, I just want to get it out as quick as possible. I've watched people doing hollowing demonstrations. It's not much fun because all you can see is a tool and a hand and people doing this. So that's why I tend to remove it as quickly as possible. So again, I've got to remember that my handle has got to be on a trailing angle. So I am just below centre by about 1/4 inch. So again, I'm just going to bring my my tool rest up. So when I've got it on my trailing angle, I'm on centre. The other thing you can do if it vibrates a lot is just to slow the speed down. So again, I can just go in. Again, going inwards can make it slightly rougher, but I'm pulling out. What I'm going to do, because my tailstock's still on, even though it's not a short bed, I'm going to take my tailstock off. One, so I don't put my elbow on the revolving centre, and secondly, I've got more access. So again, if it vibrates, just cut down. So again, I can just feather that edge round, just make it more open. Don't make it too thin because then it becomes vulnerable to snapping. So again, just got to get more material out. Then once I've got most of my material out, I can then start to refine the surface. So you can see now I've really slowed down. I'm pulling out, so I'm going more with the fibres. Again, I've got a side grind on mine, so it enables me to sort of keep my handle more parallel with my body, so I'm not leaning over too much, so it gives me better control. Now again, there are tiny shavings what's coming off. If it goes to dust, it just means we need to sharpen the tool. That's nothing. Right, yep, I'm just looking at a comment here. What's wrong with another tourist? Nothing. You can. I've not bought one yet. I keep meaning to. Is like the Robert Sorbie or Axminster one, where you've got the stem and the interchangeable tops. Now them can get right inside. I don't demonstrate with them or teach with them. Why? Because when I get students coming, they don't always have big budgets. Now if I say, right, look at this tool rest, the stem's only £20, the top's only another £20, it's another £40. Now again, if they're turning on a very easy tool rest, then they get the standard tool rest, they struggle a bit more, so I'd rather teach them on a standard one and then they can modify it later. Now I've just got a bump in the, a hollow in the centre. So I mean, yes, you could get your tool rest in more to stop that vibration if I had a box type top one. I think because I turn for a living, I think sometimes I can be a bit more careful with money than doing it for a hobby, because it's a hobby. You don't mind spending money. If I spend a lot of money on extra tools, it comes out of my salary at the end of the year. And what's more, Wendy's. Don't get me wrong, she's a lovely lass, as most of you knows that. But yes, we've got to be more careful at what we spend as money on. Especially at times like we're going through at the moment. Because we've been closed virtually since mid-March. So April, May, June. We're going to be closed for about 3 months, we'll have been. So that's, and we're not sure when we can open. We can open up, all being well, on the 15th of this month. All being well, providing everything stays as it is. But we're still not sure. We've had to. By the time we've finished, we'll have spent about a week up at unit, and I know some of you been up. We're having to change it all the way around because we've had a couple of dead ends, which means people could get down there and then somebody else comes in and can't move. So we've had to change it round, so it's more or less like a big roundabout. So we're having to move all the units around and stuff like that. So, and then when we open up, we're not sure how many people are going to be coming. So we're in uncertain times. Are we alone? No, there's lots of businesses like ours. So going back to this, we've got that in the chuck. About where that line is, that is the amount I want safety. I want my parting tool. I'll say I want 1.5 cuts. So I could go in there. So that's where, just do a stronger line. And that's about where I can cut off. Now because it's not quite that deep, we're down to about there. It's quite a heavy base, so I can actually move that line forward. So that's where we part off. Now I tend to put a parting tool cut in so it defines where the base is, rather than thinking that's just a pencil line. So again, I'm just going to go in with a parting tool, nice and slowly, because don't forget that's the base. This side I can go in quicker, but this is the base, so I want to make sure that that's nice and smooth. And that's as far as I really want to go in. Anything more is going to then weaken it. So again, rather than leaving it parallel, I'm going to put some shape into this body here. Just excuse me 1 second, I'll just have a drink of water. That's one thing with lathes, you don't have a break in that respect. So again, we're just going to scoop this out slightly. So again, just lift that camera up slightly, you can get a better idea. Again, you always work back to front with these cameras, I'm still learning. Normally I've Brian down at the club, so I mean I don't have to worry about it, but when you're doing it this way, you've got your turning side to do. You've also got the camera work to do. So I've just got to scoop it out. Now again, only thing we've got to remember, and don't ever do this with a lathe running, always stop the lathe, is check the wall thickness. Don't take 2 seconds to stop the lathe. It's very easy, if you don't, to have an accident. So always stop the lathe. Now again, I'm coming into there, so I'm lifting my handle right up horizontally, so I can get into that centre part. I'm going to put a little bead in there, but I'll roll my tool right on its side, as you can see, to stop that catching. And just go roll a little bead. Again, just need to shorten that side. And then you can see I've just created a line, so I just need to come down. And get right in. Okay, if you come down slowly, quite safe, just don't come down too quickly. And make sure the flutes are on the side. Just need to roll that over slightly there. So again, just go to check that thickness. We find there that's got a little bump on, so's that. So are we going to sand it out? No, we're going to turn it out. So again, just go down there, just bring my body round and come out of that cut. So I've got a nice flowing curve. Just put it round and in, and then we'll just check that. Yep, that's better. That's a lot better. So again, that's the outside turned. So again, what we can do now is remove the tool rest completely. Again, don't ever think, oh, it's alright, I'll leave it there. No, remove it. We've not done the inside sanding, so we need to do that part. So we'll just give that a quick sand. Inside's just as important, because people put their hands inside. So again, just stop the lathe. I'm happy with that. Just feel something there. So again, inside, because I'm not going that deep and it's a wide opening, I've no concern, besides being careful about putting my fingers inside. If that was deeper, no, I won't put my fingers inside. No way. I'll be using some forceps if it was deeper, or if it was a smaller diameter. I can't work without my fingers. So they're very important to me. That I mean, originally some of you will know this, I started out life as an engineer, and that can be a very dangerous industry. Looking at a very, very good foreman who was very, very hot on safety. So luckily on our watch we never had any problems. He was very, very good with safety. But accidents can be horrific. So I mean, I think even though I'm looking at 40 years since I was in that, or started out there, I still remember, always be careful. If in doubt, check. If in doubt, check again. Just don't. And if you leave your lathe, which I was sent to lathe turner, if you leave your lathe, do your safety checks when you come back, just to make sure that nothing's gone wrong while you've been away. And it's stayed with me the rest of my life. Is wood turning dangerous? Can be. I've seen some things on YouTube which I thought, no, they're not good to do that, and yes, they have. And I've just thought, what on earth are they playing at doing that? It's so dangerous. But that's the thing, then somebody else what's learning could watch that and think, oh, that's what you do, that's the standard way. So no, I've never had an accident, touch wood, wood turning. I don't intend to have one after all this time. Now I just use sanding sealant, as you can see, and then go straight to wax. Because with cellulose it doesn't raise the grain, so I've no need to sort of start denibbing or anything like that. I can just use it. I can just put my wax straight onto it. So again, just put some wax on here. Again, until it's been warm, just go to the inside, because you can see where it's been warm enough to just melt it slightly. That's it, what we've been looking at, 24s, and now we're down to about 11 degrees. I can't believe this weather sometimes. So again, that's on now. Again, this is an instant one. I don't have to wait for it to dry. The microcrystalline wax, it's a recommended time of 20 minutes for it to dry before you buff it off. For situations when time's not a problem, great. For me, I can't really afford the time wise to do it. So again, it's still on. We could sand a bit off that if it was tight. That is just what I would call a perfect fit. So we're happy with that. Now, I think you know what comes next, parting off. Now, again, I know predominantly right-handed. So again, we can go right-handed for the start. It's only when you come to the end that I do not like this method, coming over top of that chuck. I always prefer left-handed. So again, I've got to think left-hand side, doesn't matter. Right-hand side is the base. So that matters about having a clean finish. So I can sort of just go down here. I'm just leaving a slight gap. Just bring that camera further over that way. That's it. So just take it down in steps. But you can see this is unfinished. So I'm just going to go down here nice and slowly. I've got my tool handle at a slight angle. So I'm actually cutting into the base slightly. Now that's one thing to remember. If you've gone right down to the very bottom, is don't go through the base. So I'm down to that centre part there. So again, slowly and carefully take the tool out. Next thing, do a check. Put a tool in and just test it. Just got to bring that camera up a bit. You can see. Do a check there. That's not rocking on the base. So I know the base is flat. If it was rocking, I know I need to go back in and go in slightly more at an angle to cut it, well, concave basically. Now this is where I will recommend going left-handed. Again, we've got almost 3/4 of an inch easy there. That's not moving anywhere. Now when you do it left-handed, always put your right hand onto the tool rest first and guide the tool in. Don't hold this first, because if you do, you could miss the gap and catch it. Second thing, don't have your thumb on top of your box. Have it on the tip of your thumb on the tool rest, because that then means your hand's got to come forward and off the tool rest and away. Have your thumb on top there, it can get jammed between the tool rest and the work. So always have your thumb in front, so it's always an escape route. So again, support with your right hand. Once it starts cutting, I can take my hand away, just lightly support it, and again it is lightly supporting it. If I lightly support it, I've got a slight breeze. The wind what's going round is coming between the piece of wood and my hand, so it's keeping my hand cool. If I grip it tight, it's going to burn my hand. Now again, I'm just picking up that nice cut and going in really slowly just to get ready for it to come off in my hand. Again, just thinning it down a bit more. And hardly any pressure on the tool handle. Just pushing it slowly, really slowly. And away. Don't admire it. Turn the lathe off. A lead, you can see we've just got that little bit there. So again, I can just get the tool tip very slowly, nibble it away. If you nibble it away too quickly, just have to come a bit closer. If you nibble it too quickly, just put my camera up. I'll get a wider angle. And just bring that forward a bit. If I go too quickly, I'm keeping my fingers clear here, and go on too quickly, I can pull the centre out. So nice and slowly. Now, if you wanted to be really particular about the base, which that's not bad at all, a quick sand on that will be good. But if you wanted to finish it off perfectly, you could make a recess in a scrap piece of wood, because don't forget we've got a lip on here. Make a recess so that virtually fits in the recess. It's got to be a tight recess, as you can know, so a jam chuck, and then you could get a tool to clean that off. Again, it's not something you do regular. It's something that if it's a club competition, you know somebody's going to be inspecting the base, that is a way to do it. But again, I'll just show you the inside of it. Again, is nice and smooth. It just tapers in. Again, bit of weight in the bottom, so this is ideal, because if I put that there and the lid, I can put the lid on and you can see I can actually lift it. I don't want just a slight pull, it comes off straight away, and that's what I'm looking for. I'm not looking for a really tight fit, because it just means then whoever buys it are going to have to do it two-handed. They're going to have to hold it there and really tug. I've lined the grain up the best I can. Probably sycamore is quite light wood, and I need lots of light in here with these webcams. That is round there. You can just see the round spiral marks in the timber there for grain. That's okay. Then we get a mismatch, and that is just down to how much material we take out. So again, anything what's got like a swirling pattern on, I notice it's swirling now because I've curved it out, but yes, the more pattern it has on, the worse the matching. You can see there, if I line them two up, and they've got a slight mismatch there, but with putting that V in, it partly hides it. If that was straight, it would really stand out, but we're doing it that way. It's not too bad at all. So that's a simple box. Again, shape can be changed completely. It's more the principles of how to do it. So that's a box completed, which I'll go on to my other camera in a minute. What I want to show you is last month. I know we did the skew, but also we did this bowl. Now I've kept it in a polythene bag, pretty much because it's been so warm. You can see there's even a bit of mold growth on it there. Because it's been so warm, if I'd have left this out, which I wouldn't normally have left it out a bit more than what I have done, it would have just virtually shattered in this heat we've had. So I've basically left it in a polythene bag in my workshop. So I've just tested it tonight. It was 35% last time I returned it. It's down to about 20%. So it's lost about 14-15%. But what I want to go to do is, now it's getting drier, I'm still going to leave it in a polythene bag. I'm just checking that there's a slight mark, but it's in the fibre. Leave it in a polythene bag for about another fortnight. I may take it out this week because it's not going to be that warm, and then let it dry out a bit more, and then that will go back on the lathe, and then that can be thinned out. So any questions on what I've done tonight? I know from me saying that it's going to be 20 seconds at least before it pops up on my screen what the questions are, because of a time lag with broadcasting. You don't realise until you do something like this that the time lag. So if I say now, if I could hear myself on my tablet or my laptop there, it would be 20 seconds before I hear that word again. It's a massive delay. So worst thing you can do, I can look at my screen on my laptop over there, and that is what I'm actually doing in real time. The tablet in front of me, what I'm watching the comments on, is 20 seconds delay. So I can't watch what I'm doing on there because it's really confusing. I'm looking on me now, I'm thinking, I've done that cut. So yeah, never look at this. keep us to come back. I'm just reading this out because some people may not be on chat. Yep. Thanks from Keith. And sound was improved on last time, so that's great. I'll say one of my cameras has gone down tonight, so I do apologise about that. I'll speak to Lance about that. But hopefully I've been able to sort it out. So again, anything you want to know, you can make a comment on it, because Lee's videos we're doing between us are private. There's only me and any club member can see. Now what I do is make it private, so anybody, other club members want to look at it later, providing Lance has sent the link out to them, they can look at it offline, but it's never public. The other thing I've done is done a DVD of the last demo and sent it through to Lance, so eventually when things get back to the new normal, that will appear in your library, so that can be handed out to anybody who hasn't got internet connections that well. So, but yeah, any question, do feel free. If you look on the bottom of your screen, there's a little downwards arrow, and underneath that there'll be my email address. But it's Philip with one L at greenwoodcrafts.co.uk. Just email me with any questions. I'm quite happy to answer them on anything. So, yep. Feel free to email me anytime, except 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm fast asleep then, so don't wake me up then. But I'm just looking, there's nothing else coming except you seem to have enjoyed it, which I'm glad about, because when you're at a club you can see what's happening. You can see people who are really, you know, entertained and watching you. With this, you've no idea. So, well, thank you very much for inviting me again this month. So, hopefully, well, I can't see anything happening this year. I know people asking me about courses, and I'm just saying I can't see anything happening until next year. Yando's down in Somerset, which some of you know by name, that as the autumn show has been cancelled. I'm not sure what's going to happen at Harrogate Woodworking Show. Well, what's happening there, I know nothing myself, so I can't say I know something. I'm keeping it secret. I don't know nothing about whether that's going ahead or not. If we've got to social distance from me, a lot of it goes now anyway. When there's 9,000 people coming over 3 days, I don't know how we're going to keep us distance, so that's unknown. So for me teaching, I'm leaving it on plus next year. If I can bring them into starting from October, great. But again, I'm not sure what's going to happen with clubs at the moment. So that's going to have to be for you to decide what the guidelines are, because that's all we can go on, what the guidelines are from the government for opening our shop. So I don't know about clubs at all. So so thank you very much for asking me again to do this online demonstration. So take care everybody, and have a good night. Thank you.